Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real, something straight from the heart. And if you got a good set of ears on you, I suggest you listen close. Because this one ain't just about romance. It's about understanding the truth behind how men love, when they love, and why they love. Let me break something down for you. See, a lot of women out here think a man falls in love because of how fine you are, how good you cook, or what you bring to the table. And don't get me wrong, those things might get his attention, but they don't hold his heart. What really makes a man fall in love, what makes him stay, is peace. Not pressure, peace. And I don't mean just quiet, I mean emotional peace, mental peace, spiritual peace, a place where he can breathe, a space where his soul don't feel like it's under attack. You ever wonder why a man will leave a mansion and end up loving the woman in a one-bedroom apartment? Why he'll walk away from someone who got it all together on paper, but still go chasing the one who ain't got a lot, but makes him feel like he's everything? It's because peace don't have a price tag. You can't buy it, and you sure can't fake it. Let me tell you what a man goes through. Every single day he steps outside that door into a world that's expecting him to be strong, to carry the weight, to fight battles. He's got pressure from work, pressure from bills, pressure to be successful, pressure to lead, pressure to win. So by the time he gets back home, he's already worn down. He's been in survival mode all day. So what he needs when he walks through that door ain't more pressure. What he needs is to take that cape off, sit down, and just be. No judgment, no performance, no scoreboard, just a little peace. Now, when I say peace, I'm not saying a woman got to be quiet and never speak her mind. That ain't peace, that's silence. And there's a big difference. A man don't want a doormat. He wants a woman who challenges him the right way, who tells him the truth, but with grace, who knows how to correct him without cutting him. See, a peaceful woman knows how to speak life into a man, even when she's correcting him. That's the kind of peace I'm talking about. The kind where love don't feel like war, where home don't feel like the battlefield. But some women don't even realize they're creating pressure. It starts small. Why didn't you call me back? You always doing something else. You never show me attention. You need to do more. Now, I get it. Some of those things come from real needs. But if every conversation feels like a courtroom, if every moment feels like he's being interrogated instead of appreciated, he's not going to want to stay in that space. Because pressure ain't love. Pressure is expectation without empathy. What a peaceful woman does is she makes room for the man's humanity. She understands he ain't perfect, and she doesn't expect him to be. She don't make every mistake feel like a moral failure. She don't bring up every wrong he's ever done. She knows how to let things go. She knows how to sit in stillness. She knows how to let a man be, even when he ain't at his best. And when a man feels that kind of energy from a woman, it's healing, it's addictive, it's rare. Because let me tell you something, men are not out here looking for perfect women. We're looking for peace. You could be the most beautiful woman in the room, but if your energy is chaos, he'll step away. On the other hand, you could be overlooked by everyone else, but if you give off that calm, that joy, that patience, oh, he'll fall, and not just fall, he'll stay. He'll protect that peace like his life depends on it. Because in many ways it does. Men fall in love with how a woman makes them feel. And peace feels like safety. Peace feels like coming home. Peace feels like knowing you don't have to fight every minute just to be seen, heard, and loved. So if you want to capture a man's heart, ask yourself one thing. When he's with me, does he feel pressure or does he feel peace? Let me tell you something a lot of folks don't talk about enough, especially when it comes to men. See, there's this word that don't get enough credit in relationships, respect. You hear people say all the time, he should love me, he should be romantic, he should prioritize me. And all of that is true. But if you really want to understand a man, really want to reach his heart, you got to get one thing straight. A man falls in love when he feels respected. Respect ain't just about saying yes, sir, or letting him make decisions. It's about how you speak to him, how you speak about him, and how you treat him, especially when nobody's watching. You want to see a man shut down, lose confidence, or pull away? Start disrespecting him, talking down to him, dismissing his opinions, cutting him off in front of people, comparing him to other men. You might think it's harmless, but I'm telling you, nothing will kill a man's spirit quicker than feeling like he ain't respected in his own relationship. You got to understand, men are built with a desire to lead, to provide, to protect. Now, I don't mean dominate or control. That ain't what I'm saying. I'm talking about the natural role that's wired in him to step up and take care of the people he loves. And when a man feels like the woman he's trying to love don't respect his effort, don't trust his judgment, or always questions his worth, he won't fight harder to fall back. He'll stop talking. He'll stop trying. Because the one thing he can't thrive without is respect. See, a woman's love often comes through nurturing, through care, through affection. But a man's love, that grows when he knows he's being honored. When a woman looks at him and says, I believe in you. I see what you're trying to do. I got your back even if nobody else does. That does something to a man. It lights a fire in him. He'll go harder. He'll be better. He'll chase greatness. Not because you told him to, but because you believed in him when he doubted himself. That's powerful. And respect don't just show up when things are good. Anybody can clap for a man when he's winning, but real respect shows up when he's down, when he's unsure, when he's struggling to figure things out. That's when your words matter the most. Because a man hears everything you say in those low moments. If you tell him he's a failure, he'll start to believe it. But if you speak to the king in him, even when all he feels is broken, that's when he starts to fall. That's when he realizes this woman sees me even when I can't see myself. Let me paint it clear. Respect is in your tone, your timing, and your truth. It's how you correct him without making him feel small. It's how you hold him accountable without shaming him. It's how you let him lead even when you could have done it yourself. Because you know it feeds his confidence to know you trust him. It's when you celebrate his small wins, not just the big ones. It's when you listen to him, not just wait for your turn to speak. That's respect. And don't confuse respect with silence. You can disagree with a man and still be. You can challenge him and still lift him up. It ain't about shrinking yourself. It's about using your power with wisdom. A smart woman knows she can influence a man without ever raising her voice. You speak to a man with honor and he will rise to meet it. You treat him like a man and he'll want to be an even better one for you. Men are not always the best at expressing what they feel, but trust me, they feel it all, especially when it comes to whether or not they're respected. And when a man finally feels that, when he knows he can show up as himself and still be honored, that's when his heart opens. Because to a man, love without respect feels empty. But love with respect, that's when it becomes everything. Let's be clear about something right now. Every man walking this earth has a vision. Now, he might not have it all figured out. He might not have the blueprint drawn up. He might not even know how to get from point A to point B. But deep down inside, there's a picture in his mind of the kind of life he wants to live, the kind of man he wants to become, and the legacy he wants to leave behind. That's his vision. And let me tell you something. It means everything to him. It's what keeps him going when life gets heavy. It's what pushes him when he wants to quit. And when a woman shows up who not only loves him but believes in that vision, that's when he starts falling in love, falling deeper, falling forever. Now, supporting a man's vision doesn't mean you got to do the work for him. It doesn't mean you have to be a cheerleader with no voice of your own. It means you stand beside him, not behind him. It means you see what he's working toward, even when it's just an idea. And you say, I see it too. I may not understand all of it, but I believe in you enough to trust the process. That kind of belief is rare. Most people love results, but the one who loves the process with you, that's a different kind of love. That's loyalty. That's partnership. That's what builds an unbreakable bond. A man might never say this out loud, but when he's building, when he's grinding, when he's sacrificing sleep, time, and energy to chase a dream, he watches closely how the woman in his life reacts. Is she complaining because he's always working, or is she encouraging him to keep going? Is she adding stress to his struggle, or is she lightening the load? Does she talk about what he isn't yet, or does she speak life into what he's becoming? These things matter, because let me tell you, the world already doubts him. He's already hearing no from clients, bosses, family, and sometimes even himself. What he needs at home is not one more person telling him he can't. What he needs is that one woman who whispers, "You got this," even when he doesn't. And don't get it twisted. Supporting a man's vision ain't always pretty. It means being patient when things move slow. It means being understanding when money gets tight. It means sacrificing some comfort in the short term because you both see what's coming in the long term. It might mean late nights, missed calls, or weekends where he's buried in work. But when you understand the purpose behind it, you don't resent the process, you respect it. Because you're not just dating the man he is, you're standing beside the man he's becoming. Let me tell you something real. A man never forgets the woman who was there when he had nothing but ambition. The one who prayed for him, fed his spirit, reminded him who he was on the days he wanted to give up. That woman, she becomes part of the vision. She becomes the why behind the what. And when he wins, and believe me, he will, she'll be the first name on his lips. Because she wasn't just along for the ride. She helped build the road. See, a lot of women want the finished product. They want the man with the money, the status, the success. But a man don't fall in love with the one who shows up after the shine. He falls in love with the one who saw the spark before it turned into fire. The one who believed in the seed before it ever became a tree. The one who saw potential, not just the prize. That kind of love, that's rare. That's powerful. That's unforgettable. So when you support a man's vision, when you really pour into it, you're doing more than encouraging his dream. You're becoming part of it. You're writing yourself into his story, into the chapter where everything changed. And that right there, that's when love becomes something a man never walks away from. Let me tell you something about men. We are simple, but we are not stupid. We don't need a whole lot, but what we do need, we need it consistently. You can't show up one day giving love, affection, peace, and encouragement, then disappear the next day with attitude, cold energy, and silence. That back and forth, that emotional roller coaster, that's the kind of stuff that don't just confuse a man, it pushes him away. Because what a man truly falls in love with is consistency. Not the sparks, not the drama, not the thrill, just good, solid, steady love that he can count on day after day. See, consistency is what builds trust. It's what makes a man feel safe, not just physically, but emotionally. And I know that might sound strange to some people because men are always seen as the strong ones, the tough ones, the ones who are supposed to be the rock. But let me ask you something. What good is a rock if the ground underneath it keeps shifting? A man can only stand tall in a relationship if the woman he's with is emotionally reliable. That don't mean perfect. That don't mean never having a bad day. It just means she's real. She shows up the same way whether the sun's shining or the storm's rolling in. That consistency gives a man peace. It lets him know that when he comes home, he don't have to guess who's coming home to. He don't have to wonder, is she going to love me today or punish me for yesterday? He don't have to tiptoe around the mood swings, the games, or the silent treatment. He knows he's walking into the arms of someone who's got his back no matter what. That's rare. And when a man finds that, he holds on tight. You got to understand, a lot of men grew up without emotional stability. Some of us were raised in chaos, surrounded by noise, drama, disappointment. So when we grow up, we start craving something different, something that feels like peace, and consistency is peace. It's waking up and knowing you're loved, not just when you're doing good, but when you mess up too. It's being able to open up without fear that your vulnerability is going to be used against you tomorrow. It's knowing that if you're down today, she ain't going to throw it in your face next week. That kind of woman, that's a safe place. And that's exactly where a man's heart begins to fall. Now, don't confuse consistency with being boring. Some people think just because it ain't wild and unpredictable, it ain't passionate. But let me tell you something. Real passion shows up in the little things done over and over again. A good morning text every day, a warm hug when he walks through the door, a calm conversation instead of a blow-up. That's passion, that's care. That's what keeps love growing long after the butterflies fade. But if 1 minute you're hot and the next you're cold, one day you're praising him and the next you're picking him apart, that kind of emotional confusion will drain a man. It'll make him feel like he's failing no matter how hard he tries, and eventually he'll stop trying. Not because he doesn't care, but because he's tired of guessing what version of you he's going to get next. That's not love. That's survival. A man falls for the woman who is steady, the one whose love doesn't depend on the day of the week or the size of his paycheck. The one who's loving him on the days he's up and holding him down on the days he's low. That kind of consistency, it builds a foundation. And men build on foundations. We don't build on confusion. We don't grow in chaos. We grow in places that feel safe, steady, and secure. So if you want a man to love you deeply, to open up, to let you into the parts of him that nobody else sees, it won't be your beauty alone that gets you there. It'll be your consistency, how you show up, how you stay, how you love him the same way on day 1 as you do on day 100. Because for a man, real love ain't about who gives the most thrills. It's about who gives the most peace. Over and over again. Let's go ahead and talk about something that most men don't talk about. Not because they don't feel it, but because they were never taught how to say it. Most men walk around with a locked up heart. Not because they don't want to love, but because they're scared to get it wrong. See, a lot of men were never given permission to be vulnerable. From a young age, they were told, be tough, man up, don't cry. Don't feel too much. So they learn to hide it, bury it, cover it up with a smile, a laugh, a distraction. But underneath all that strength, all that pride, all that masculinity is a need just like anybody else's to feel safe emotionally. Now, don't get it twisted. A man can take care of bills. He can protect you physically. He can hold it down in public. But when he's with the woman he loves, he needs a place where he can let go and where he can take the mask off, where he can say, I'm struggling, or I don't have it all figured out, and not be met with judgment, shame, or silence. When a man feels like he can lay his burdens down and not be punished for being human, that's when he starts to love for real. That's when he starts to open up his soul, not just his schedule. And here's what most people miss. Emotional safety for a man isn't about agreeing with everything he says. It's not about babying him or pretending he's always right. It's about creating an environment where he knows he won't be torn down for being vulnerable, where he won't be made to feel less than a man for having emotions, where he won't hear his fears or failures thrown back at him in the next argument. Because once a man gets burned by that, he stops talking. He shuts down. Not because he doesn't feel, but because it's safer not to. When a man finds a woman who listens without judging, who holds space without interrupting, who comforts without trying to fix everything, that's rare. That's special. That's the kind of love that changes a man. He might have spent years building walls, but a safe woman, she don't break those walls down with force. She melts them with kindness, patience, and understanding. She makes it okay for him to feel what he feels. And when he feels that freedom, when he realizes, I can be me here, that's when his heart begins to fall And let's be honest, men are slow to open up.